How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rumours, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Now, as you guys remember, earlier today I made a video. If you did see that video, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It was a video talking about the Pokemon Crown and Scepter rumor that's been going around, or rather the rumor about the UK being the next region. Of course, it could be that the Scepter rumor is fake and that the games won't be called Crown and Scepter. Definitely sound like really, kind of bad names, if I'm going to be honest. I don't really dig them that much, but if anything, the one thing I would believe that, would be possible is still something connected to the UK. It could still be something like that. And I already made that video earlier today talking about some of the other theories you guys had and a bunch of stuff that's been kind of speculated by you guys. So before we get into this video, guys, do remember I'll link everything down below if you want to find the sources. Every single one of these things will be linked down there so you guys can check it out. And also, on top of that, guys, please remember this is all just speculation and rumors, so don't take it 100% as, gospel, so to say. It's all just speculating for fun and, just kind of hyping ourselves up while we wait for the official reveals. There are stuff happening in the background that, like possibly will be showing up sooner or later, so we're just waiting for a potential reveal in February, which is what I speculated to happen, but, we'll see what happens though. So today we're going to talk about more speculations and theories, and before we get into that, of course, as I mentioned, this is part 2, so go watch part 1 if you want to see the full subject, all that stuff, there, just go check that out, but, and also, I'll be doing a part 3. I didn't want to do another part, I wanted to do everything in this video, but literally, there is just too much. There is genuinely just too much, and I just can't get it done. Like, I really want to, but I can't get it done. I can't do it all in a single video. It's just too much information. So let's get started here with the first thing on the list, which is something sent to me here by Sheely here on Twitter, saying, I think Pokemon Crown and Scepter could be a reference to the Sealy and Unsealy courts in European fairy folklore. And then there's a link here to Wikipedia, which we'll check out. If this rumor is true, I believe fairy-type Pokemon will play a bigger part in Generation 8, which does make sense. I mean, they were introduced in Generation 6, in Kalos for the first time. That's when we got fairy-types, and fairy-types were just this brand new thing, and they were first found, I guess, in, Generation 6, aka in France, aka Kalos. So, what he talks about here, though, is the classification of fairies, which is Sealy and Unsealy courts. The categorization of fairies based on the court is whether a fairy is light or dark. The Sealy court are known to seek help from humans, to warn those who have accidentally offended them, and to return human kindness with favors of their own. Still, a fairy belonging to this court will avenge insults and could be prone to mischief. The most common time of the day to see them is twilight. This has not always been the case. In the beginning, fairies were more likely to appear at any time in any place. Only when human beings started to populate more and more regions, they tried to put the world into an order. Fairies and their realms became less and less visible for us. Since then, they are said to appear in border regions such as twilight, border between day and night, or the night between April 30th and May the 1st, and between October 31st and November 1st, borders of seasons. Other names of the Sealy court are the Shining Throne and the Golden Ones, and the Summer Court. Sealys are known for playing pranks on humans and having light-hearted attitudes, forgetting their sorrows quickly and not realizing how they might have been affecting the humans they play pranks on. The Unsealy court consists of dark, inclined fairies. Unlike the Sealy court, no offense is necessary to bring down their assaults. As a group or host, they appear at night and assault travelers, often carrying them through the air, beating them and forcing them to commit acts such as shooting at cattle. Like the beings of the Sealy court, who are not always benevolent, neither are the fairies of the Unsealy court always malevolent. Okay, most Unsealys can become fond of a particular human if they're viewed as respectful, and would choose to make something of a pet. Some of the most common characters in the Unsealy court are Boogies, Boogles, Bogarts, Eevee, Lubers, and Buttery spirits. Division into Sealy and Unsealy spirits was roughly equivalent to the division of elves in Norse mythology into light and dark distinctions. In French fairy tales, as told by Précieuses, fairies are likewise divided into good and evil, but the effect is clearly literally. Many of these literal fairies seem preoccupied with the character of the humans they encounter. The Welsh fairies, Tylwyth Teg, and the Irish Ausi are usually not classified as wholly good or wholly evil. Now, why is this interesting? Why did I even bring this up? This could have been just being like, what does this have to do with anything? Well, you see, the thing with this stuff is that it kind of reminds me of something that not a lot of people have been talking about, and that I kind of just, there are things I remember because I read a lot of stuff, guys. This is what I spend majority of my time doing on a daily basis. It is my job, essentially, to talk about this stuff, but I was reading specifically about, like, Generation 7 and, you know, those games, and then also, alongside that, I kind of went into, like, Let's Go and some, you know, information about Let's Go, where they specifically said, the developers, Masuda and whatnot, said that they specifically wanted Let's Go to be more lighthearted and child-friendly, right? And they put it in a specific way, saying, like, we didn't want it to be too dark, right, or too gritty. Specifically for Let's Go, we wanted that to be more of the child-friendly game. And there has been talks about, specifically the next generation of Pokemon games, Gen 8, being slightly more dark and going down more of a serious, more adult path. And even the developers themselves have said, you know, we want these games to be more for the hardcore, long-time fans, and the long-time fans are older, and of course would want something less childish and more mature in themes. So in all fairness, something like this would make sense, right? You know, Gen 7 being France, and then UK being Gen 8, if this ends up being real, by the way, which all is theories, guys, speculating, please remember, just keep that in mind. But if this is true, then when you take the two of them, right, you take the two and you look at them, right, Gen 6 had fairies introduced, good fairies, I guess, some way, then Generation 8 will have bad fairies, right, introduced into it. And of course, you know, mythology in Europe has always put fairies as kind of like both good and evil and all that, but there are also other theories connected to fairies and, you know, the way they will work and all that stuff, so we'll take a look at that specifically as well. But let's continue to the next thing on our agenda here, ladies and gentlemen. Which is something here sent to me by Hidden Kitsu. Now, Hidden Kitsu said, in order to add a little bit of a theory of how the colors pink and green in James Turner's post could relate to the potential UK region. It's nothing too concrete, but I thought it would be fun to try and connect everything together, which is kind of just fun, you know, it's always interesting to look at these theories and all this stuff, so I thought it'd be worthwhile taking a look at it and see what it has to say. So, if we're basing anything off of the map found in Let's Go, the reasons for the colors pink and green start to add up. Pink would symbolize a section of the map representing England, the larger island, and green would represent Ireland, the small island of the coast. This is all just fun speculating, though, so don't just take it with a grain of salt. Again, take that for every single one of these videos we make, unless it's a literal video that is called news, and it is news related, like the Mewtwo trailer that we talked about, and that sort of stuff. Keep in mind, guys, take this with literally a mountain of salt, okay? So let's continue. Sorry, not Puke. Pink England. Okay, so the Tudor rose is a traditional floral emblem of England and originates from the union between the House of York, white English rose, and the House of Lancaster, red English rose. Okay, mixing or uniting white and red creates the color pink. Interesting. Random bit of info I found. There is a rose called the Sceptered Isle, which is a pink variety of the English rose, bred by David C.H. Alston, that the Tudor rose is based on. And then he, of course, links down here, which you guys can check out. I'll link everything down below. Now, the next one here says green for Ireland. Green, of course, is often associated with Ireland. Ireland, I love the Irish, dude. I love Ireland, dude. It's beautiful. And there's Shamrock's symbol. Nothing complicated about that. There's a Shamrock badge with crowns on it worn by the members of the Order of St. Patrick. They also wore the Tudor rose on special occasions. So, it's an interesting theory. It would make sense. I mean, in all fairness, it does sound pretty interesting, and if you do make a connection to, specifically the actual Rumour itself, you know, Crown and Scepter, right? You know, if we kind of just remove the Scepter and Crown part of it, but I still remember that it's the UK, right? And we remember that post made by, your boy, what's his name again? Bloody hell, I just forgot his name. Literally, I just forgot the band's name. The one posted by Turner, right? Yeah, so James Turner. If you look at the image, right, it was pink and green, right? That's what he mentions here. Now, of course, if I imagine, like, the spider and the butterfly that were mentioned in the post for, you know, the Crown and Scepter post, you know, the green makes sense for the spider, and the pink makes sense for the butterfly. It just, those colors correlate really nicely between those two in some sense. I don't know, it's kind of interesting. But again, it's all a theory, guys, so do keep that in mind as we're taking a look at this. Of course, everything will be linked down below, so you guys can check it out on your own. But yeah, let's go to the next thing, because we have way more stuff to go through. So, next thing here is sent to me by Matthew Francis. Now, he basically says here, look at the left corner, but I think he actually corrects himself and says, look at the right corner instead. I got it wrong a little bit there. Picture shows a weird Pokemon. This photo was taken in Game Freak's offices. I know it was taken a long time before Gen 8 was revealed, but hey. And then, of course, you know, he corrects himself down here. But what does it actually show here? Well, if we just zoom in a little bit, I'll be able to show you guys what's on the right. So, first of all, what's on the left side? You might be asking as well. Well, right there, we see the Direct for 2016. It's a Direct for 2016. It's an old one. This was a post from back in August 2017. I don't know if you guys can see it here because of my face cam, but basically this was from August 21st in 2017, posted on the Pokemon blog page here. But on the side here, you actually can see something that I don't know if you guys can see, but right there, and I'll try to zoom in more, and if possible, I'll also open the image in another tab here, you guys can see it. But in this image, we actually see something that does look like Meltem, which, by the way, this was in 2017, by the way. Do remember, this was a while before we even knew Meltem's existence. But right there, you can see, like, look at the shape of that. It looks just like Meltem, even the little black dot in the middle. I mean, it also does look like some other items. It could just be something totally different. But it does kind of look like it could be like the concept art for what Meltem could turn out. Also, that looks kind of like one of those like things you look through, like those like I don't know what you call them, like the thing that detectives use, like that sort of thing. Or it could be just something else. But it does look like Meltem's head right here. I mean, I could be imagining, but that's genuinely what it looks like. So, I don't know, guys, but hey, Matthew, that was a nice catch, man. I really appreciate you sending this my way, and if you guys do find this sort of stuff, feel free to send it, guys. Also, if you want to find me on Twitter, search at RigPop420 on Twitter, and you'll find me. I'll also link my Twitter down below as per usual. You guys can go there and also follow me if you want to. It really would be appreciated, and over there, you can just, you know, contact me and all that stuff. So, that's that one, guys. Now, let's jump over to the next thing. So, the next thing here is from James. Now, James sent me something that he wants to, you know, me perhaps, you know, mention here, but he says, Rumours, remember in one of your videos, the leaks mentioned it not to be a crown, but to be a scepter and an orb, which has a cross on the top. Well, look at this picture and let me know what you think, because why is there a cross on the top of the Pokeball? It doesn't need to be there. So when I was looking at this, I was like, okay, so I mean, I see the scepter, right? I see him holding it. And I was looking at this, I was like, I don't see a cross here. And I think what he meant by cross is maybe these stitches right there that have been made like on the actual Pokeball. But I don't think that makes it into a cross. I think that's just stitches. You know, that's just stitches to make it, you know, stick together. So I don't think that can really be counted as a cross, so to say. But hey, it's an interesting little point to just still make. And I appreciate you sending my way, man. I don't know, man. I think that's just stitches. I don't think that really means anything. But hey, still worthwhile just telling you guys, you know, if you were curious, if everybody saw this and want to know, that's my opinion. I think that's just stitches. I don't think it really has any value in all fairness. I think it's just some stitches, you know, that's it. But yeah, so next thing here was sent to me by Fabio Lima here, and this kind of connects to something else, but now we're kind of done with the UK region stuff, right? So we still have a part 3 to do, which covers even more information, but we'll do that tomorrow. But I want to cover 2 other things that I really want to bring up today. One of them being something I want to debunk, and the other one being this right here, which is about like a potential Chinese region instead, because there's been way more stuff for 2 other places. China, or like Southeast Asia, or like South Asia, you know what I mean? Like the southern part of Asia, like the island regions and whatnot. Like there's been way more stuff for that and China and like Spain than anything else. And of course the UK as a recent has been like kind of one of the more prolific places. But it seems like majority of people are right now feeling like the UK is very possible. But then there's also that subsection of people who still think Spain's gonna happen, and another subsection. But then there's like this subsection of people who also think, you know, it could be Spain, and then another section who think it's going to be China. So I think the 3 most prolific places is China, Spain, and the UK, where people think it's going to happen. Currently, for most people, it seems like the UK is the most likely one. The other one that's kind of in the lead would be China, which I still think is unlikely personally because of the fact that China and Japan don't really have good connections, you know, in terms of history, and I don't think they would really want to base a place on, you know, like a region on China, but maybe a part of China though, which is why I bring up what Fabio Lima here sent me. So Fabio sent me saying this: I have a theory. The games are based in Hong Kong, belongs to China, but before was part of the UK. That's why there's a mix of symbols in the hints. It has the tradition versus innovation theme, and a big island connected to a futuristic city. It would also fit the Italian Riddler theory. This is very true. Now, this is where I'm kind of like, this would make sense, right? Because Hong Kong was or belonged to the UK for a long time. If you don't know the history of Hong Kong, basically the UK wanted to do trading with with China back in the old days, right? They wanted to do trading, but China only had one port that allowed for trading, and that didn't work for the UK. The UK had big debts, jeez. They big debt. They had a lot, like, no money left in there, basically. Like, the kingdom just had no money left, right? They were out of money, and they needed to do trade to make more money. They also had a huge demand for tea, right? But to get tea, which was from, I guess, China, to get tea, you had to import it, but that you couldn't, you know, just wasn't enough for the whole of the UK, and the UK was addicted to tea, essentially. So what ended up happening was they tried to send delegations in to get access to more ports, but the Chinese emperor didn't want to allow it, right? So what ended up happening was the British started selling opium, right? They started essentially selling drugs to, this is just kind of a weird history lesson, right? But they started selling drugs illegally into China, and essentially poisoning half the, you know, well, literally the whole country, essentially, with those drugs, which in turn caused a bunch of issues. And when they kind of tried to, you know, negotiate like deals and whatnot, things just fell through, blah blah blah, things happened, and eventually the British kind of like fled from you know, that one port that was open. They fled from that port and kind of settled themselves on a island that today is Hong Kong. Now, this island was kind of the base of operation for them as they started invading into China in different places, trying to, you know, get all the way to the emperor. And they actually think I think they reached the emperor at one point, but they kind of just backed off after a while, and there was a deal made, and essentially the Chinese opened up their ports eventually, which kind of allowed for things to happen. But the British in this deal ended up also getting the right to keep Hong Kong, and that would also work as another port of, you know, trade, so to say. So if anybody doesn't know the history, that was a little quick of a rundown of the history of Hong Kong. It became Hong Kong eventually, right? And it belonged to the British for the longest time, until eventually, you know, it kind of became its own little, you know, became still, you know, they gave back eventually to China, and it still kind of got this more, you know, it's way more developed than the rest of China in some sense, right? It has far, like, better, you know, just kind of infrastructure and everything than China has, because it was kind of ahead, because it did get way more innovation done and way more industrialization than China did, because it did have the support of the UK, which was, you know, one of the most well-developed countries back in those days, and still is one of the most well-developed countries in terms of, you know, technology and all that. I mean, I'm not sure if it is today still, but back in the day they were. So this is actually really good here, dude, and this makes sense. This will also connect well with all the other theories mentioning, you know, a southeast, you know, kind of southern type of, you know, region, or some type of, you know, island slash peninsula sense, whatever. I mean, this isn't a peninsula, but you get the general gist of it. It's like an island or whatever, and it does have innovation and also tradition there, you know. So there is a lot of interesting points here. And of course, there was something here sent by Catriel here on Twitter saying the time is soon, and hashtag, and then something here that I can't read, and then a Pokeball, and then showing like one of these Chinese lions, which was kind of weird to me. I think I mentioned this to you guys in another video, I can't remember though, but this was strange to me, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, guys, but I think the possibility for a Chinese region seems very much more likely now than I ever would have imagined it to be before. But I want to just bring that up real quick, guys. Now, the next thing, now we're done with this. We're talking about, done with theories. Now let's talk about something I want to debunk real quick, so you guys don't get, you know, fooled or whatever, or confused when you see it. So, big thank you to Successor Luke here for sending this my way, but this is something that he saw on Facebook, saying that Pokemon Sun and Moon episode 105 title revealed, From Sinnoh to Alola, a reunion to all power, date of broadcast January 13th, summary, Ash and the others are on a Pony Island for a Pokemon school research project. For this, they will head to the pier that is located on the Pony Coast, with the aim of getting some pearls that Hapu has entrusted to them, without imagining that someone familiar was waiting for them. And of course, he didn't know if this was real or fake, which, by the way, thank you so much, Successor Luke, for sending this my way. Thank you so much, dude. I really appreciate it, man. And guys, if you always find this sort of stuff, send it my way. But I was able to actually figure out that this is actually fake. So here's the image itself, which you'll notice right here. Now, of course, you can start looking into it, and you'll realize there are issues with the image itself. They kind of give it away. But here's where you get proof that it is fake, and that is right here, guys. Yeah, it was just drawn by Lucas the Deo art on Twitter. Oh, sorry, not Twitter, but DeviantArt. It's right there, you guys see. So it is genuinely fake. We'll link the design down below if anybody wants to check this out. Of course, you know, I'm just kind of showing you this to prove that somebody tried to fake this. But yeah, this is a fake one. It's not real, guys, just so you know. Just a heads up for anybody that does see this. If this pops up in your feed or you see this, just so you know, it is fake. I just want to debunk it so you guys understand that it is not real. So yeah, guys, just want to show you that. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, that's just about it, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video, though. If you did, then drop a like down below. And guys, tomorrow I'll be posting part 3. I couldn't get part 3. You know, you see how long this video is? This video is like almost well over like 15-16 minutes now, I think, in length. I didn't want to make it into another 30 to 40 minute video. I want to keep it, you know, solid. So I decided to split this into, you know, its own separate part 2, and then I'll have part 3 tomorrow of these theories and stuff. And then once we're done with those, I think I'm going to chill with the theories about the UK, and unless something really big and interesting pops up, I will just kind of keep it and kind of let it like stack up until we have more information and kind of bring you all of that in one, you know, single video instead of just kind of splitting it up into several. The only reason I have this many videos with this subject right now and all these theories is because there's so many, guys. There's just so many. But still, I hope you enjoyed the video. Drop a like down below. I'll catch you all the next time. Have yourselves a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.